in television from the capital to the coast, your station for 9 Alive News. This is WNCT-TV, Greenville.
Hello everyone, I'm Alan Hoffman. Thanks for joining us on the First News tonight.
Hello and welcome to the Vault 9 here on WNCT 9 Plus. I'm Ken Watlington. Each week on this show, we're digging into the 70-plus years of archives here at WNCT. Since hitting the air in December 1953 as Eastern North Carolina's first broadcast television station, WNCT has told the stories of the important events that impacted all of our lives. The Vault 9 takes a look back at the local news, weather, sports, and important information from WNCT's beginnings all the way up to today. That includes individual news stories from years past. Other times we'll catch up one-on-one with some familiar Channel 9 faces. And that's the case today as I sit down with Phillip Williams, a meteorologist here at WNCT for 21 years.
Well, if you don't like the rainy, cold weather out there, it looks like you're not in for a good night tonight.
Yes, I worked at WNCT from March of '88 through May of 2009.
You were 22 when you started?
Yes, I was 22 years old, couldn't believe it. I had always wanted to be a meteorologist since I was like 5 or 6 years old. And so I studied weather as much as I could growing up, went to NC State, got my degree in meteorology. And then it was WNCT that gave me my first television opportunity. I didn't think I wanted to be in television, really. I applied for the National Weather Service and almost got a job for that. I missed that job by one day when Congress passed a budget bill which stopped hiring. So by one day, I missed being in the Weather Service, went into television, and yeah, I've been in NCT again for 21 years.
What was it like for you growing up in Eastern North Carolina to get that job here in the East and to be able to be a voice for your community and all the communities in Eastern North Carolina?
Right. You know, it was fascinating to me because most people in television don't have the chance to work where they grow up. But I grew up in Rocky Mount, so Eastern Carolina, of course, home right here. And to have my parents be able to see me on television, that was a big plus. I really like that. One of my grandparents was still living at the time, and she was able to see me as well. So that felt really good to have that.
And also, Alan, we have seen some funnel clouds reported earlier in the afternoon that has since calmed down, also near Aurora. We'll have all those stormy details coming up in just a moment.
Weather forecasting in the East, I'm guessing, is not easy.
No, that's great, though. I love that. Yeah, I mean, weather here, we have everything. I mean, we have all 4 seasons, which so many places don't have that. So we have the hurricanes, we have snow, we have thunder, lightning. We don't want to have tornadoes, but we have those too. And we have just so much different variety here, which I absolutely loved forecasting that.
Check out tomorrow's forecast. Skies out there partly cloudy, 48 for the morning hours, 68 by noon, a nice high of 74 degrees. Enjoy your Wednesday. It should be a good one for us.
Let's take you back to September 1999. First it was Hurricane Dennis, then came Floyd, and then came catastrophic flooding.
Yes, absolutely. I still remember that quite well. I mean, even with Dennis, I remember how it came up the first time just off the coast, but gave us tons of rain. It stalled off Virginia, then it came back down. And I can remember when it was coming onshore the second time, it was a very strong tropical storm. Winds were 70 miles per hour. I was there with the news director at the station wondering, do we go live or not? Because back then it was a teeter-totter, but with a hurricane or not. And we just kept doing constant cut-ins, and the rains came in. And again, all the rivers rose after Dennis to near flood stage. And then, of course, that set the stage for Floyd to really pound us with the major flooding.
Eastern North Carolina averages 46 inches of rain a year. So we've had 30 inches in 2 weeks.
What was it like for you to be a part of a team, to be on the air nonstop for weeks, to provide that information and the comfort for the community?
You know, that made me actually feel it was a very rewarding experience to know that I could be there to tell people what was going on. At the time, we had neighborhood Doppler 9, which we had just gotten not long before, and so I could use that technology to kind of show people where the rivers were flowing from one place to the next, like where the crest of the rivers was and how it was going to be moving downstream. So I really was enjoying being able to tell people what was happening. At the same time, my house had no power, I had no water. So we were relying on the community to actually bring us food and water at the station. I remember one time I worked like a long shift, and then I took off, and my first stop was going to outside the mall. The Army had set up water distributions. So actually I went there and stood in line, got my water so I could have water, for the next day. So that was just a crazy time. But working those, I think it was 7 straight days nonstop, it just, your adrenaline was flowing, and it's like, I've got to do this to help people, tell people where their baby supplies are, where you can find things for livestock and find food. So to me, it was just so rewarding to know that we were in crisis mode to help the community.
And it's oftentimes in the greatest crisis and in times of need and the worst of the worst, the best of people tends to show. The community,
Yes.
as you mentioned, the community helping you out, even though you're working nonstop.
Yes, I mean, I can remember walking down the hallway between the newsroom and the studio, and there were just tables lined up with food for us that people had brought to the station, knowing that we were there nonstop. And yeah, it was touching. To this day, I mean, right now, I feel that emotion,
Yeah, and it kind of highlights the importance of not only forecasting, but in the moment, what's going on and letting people know, because with the advancement in technology, you can kind of pinpoint street to street time frames and everything. So your job was an important one, and still is.
Yes, and I mean, I really loved, back in the day with like that neighborhood Doppler 9, that was like my favorite to use, because it was perfect with the streets, and you could tell where things were going. And I know with Floyd, with the flood, I mean, I love to be able to zoom into little towns, like you go into Tarboro, Princeville, and make your way down through Canida area and come on down to Greenville, and just being able to do that and then use the Weather Service data for, say, where the floods were, where the crests were, how high the water was. You could really bring it home. And then also just going to tell people, where does your water come from for your local river? Like, do you know, like Greenville, that your water comes from places like Tarboro, Rocky Mount, Lewisburg, up to Roxborough? So what rains there is what floods here. And same thing like for the Neuse, from Kinston, you go to Goldsboro, and make it up to Smithfield, Raleigh, also back to Roxborough. In fact, Person County has the mouth of the source actually of both the Tar River and the Neuse. So you look up there for rain to see what affects us here.
'Cause it's got to go somewhere.
Yes, it does.
Your morning is important, so start it off right with WNCT 9 on Your Side Morning News. It's local news, weather, and updates delivered right to you.
Jeffrey Roberts, Rob Martin on WNCT 9 and Your Side Morning News weekdays.
Being a Storm Team 9 meteorologist means a whole lot more than just knowing when it's going to rain.
It means we're up early, ahead of the weather.
It means we're looking into the future and predicting how conditions will affect you.
It means breaking it all down and analyzing your forecast, delivering you all the information you need.
And it means keeping it local, wherever you might be.
Because around here, we're not just some weather team, we're the weather team. Storm Team 9.
This is WNCT-TV Greenville. First in news with Alan Hoffman, meteorologist Phillip Williams, and Brian Bailey with sports. This is News Center 9's 11 o'clock report.
Let's talk about a few figures at WNCT and your thoughts on what it was like to work with them and maybe what they meant to the community. And we'll start with Alan Hoffman.
Oh yeah, Alan Hoffman, he is great. He was like the first big anchor that I worked with, and you don't know how funny Alan Hoffman is behind the scenes, because he's the serious anchor man and does a fabulous job, always did a great job with the news. But then off camera, he does little things that really make you laugh. Some things I can't do for you now, but he would just do little things along the way that would really just lighten your day. And I just really thank Alan for always being there and being a good support, because see, I was brand new in the business when I started. I looked all of 15 years old when I started. I was 22. And Alan oftentimes would come to me and just kind of give me little pep talks and just kind of bolster my confidence starting out. And so I really appreciate that from Alan.
He's coming up on 40 years, Brian Bailey.
Yes, wow. Yeah, Brian Bailey, he's a sports icon. yeah, I love Brian Bailey, always have. And talk about humor now. He's got boatloads of humor. And just working with him, especially those Friday night football nights, I mean, wow, he was just hustling nonstop and just zip, 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 going every which way, covering everything, and just loved what he did. You could see his passion, that man loved Eastern Carolina sports more than anybody in the world. I mean, he's it for that. And yeah, I just always loved Brian Bailey.
Let me take you back to Carolina Today. What do you remember about that show?
You know, I remember like the first time I filled in for that show was July of 1988. And I mean, again, I was a young kid. I was 22 years old. And you had Slim Short, and you had Diane Bowen, and of course Jim Woods was doing the weather. I'm not sure if John Moore was there at that time or not, but my goodness, just being a part of that show, I was like 2 generations below those guys. And so it was like doing a show with my grandparents almost, even though maybe they weren't that old, but to me it felt like it. And so yeah, I just loved doing that. And I can remember some of them, one of them actually, I won't say who it was, came over to me and said, you know, Philip, you really have to work on your voice because you're never going to make it in this business. And so I worked on my voice and my accent. I can remember I used to say the word, instead of get, I would say get. You know, we're going to get some rain tomorrow. And I'd say tonight's going to be whatever. And so I had to work on that. I actually went to a little speech.
That's how we talk in Eastern North Carolina.
It is, but they said, no, Philip, back in the day, you could not have an accent, really. Right. And so, yeah, I had to work on that, flatten out, you know, change my speech a little bit. But that was great. I mean, it really was. It helped me for the rest of my career to be able to speak the way they wanted me to in some instances anyway.
Well, you made it. You had a career.
I had a career, yeah. 33 years, I think, that's enough, yeah.
Here at WNCT-9, we're on your side, which is why you can trust us to keep you updated.
Every weekday evening, we're here with the latest news across the East.
And monitoring weather that directly affects you, so you can stay on top of any of the latest changes by watching our Storm Team 9 forecast.
We're on your side because Eastern North Carolina is our home too.
Watch WNCT-9 Evening News 5 to 6:30, then again at 11.
Here is a land of tall trees and crystal coasts, a land of small towns and big dreams, of special celebrations and great challenges. This place is home, and it's where we're meant to be. Here, we achieve great things. And here, people become the best versions of themselves. Because here, neighbors become friends, stories are shared, and endless memories are made. And no matter where life takes us, we'll always be on your side. Eastern North Carolina is our home too, and we wouldn't change it one bit.
First in television from the capital to the coast, your station for 9 Alive News. This is WNCT-TV, Greenville.
What do you think WNCT means to Eastern North Carolina? The first TV station to sign on the air east of Raleigh, and been there for the good and for the bad.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's good to have like a media rock for Eastern Carolina. And we have several, which is good, but it's great to have just a station that's always been there, you know, that people can rely upon. And so yeah, it's just been great to have something that's been there over and over and over as a consistency to provide for the public.
Over your time on TV, you kept some keepsakes. We got some of them here, including you're on a milk carton.
Not a missing child, which they did back in the day. But yeah, how about this? Boy, don't I look young there. Yeah, this is me with the masterful Jim Woods. Carla Poston, she was the first weekend weather person they let me get, because when I first started, we actually had Monday through Saturday. There was no weather or news on Sundays. And so I worked all 6 days, did the 6 and 11. Before me, Jim Woods here, oh my goodness, he did everything. He did, I mean, literally everything. He would do weather, he would do news, he would do sports, agriculture news. So yeah, he was wonderful. In fact, when I started, I first just did Saturdays. I was doing low power TV in Rocky Mount. I would do that 5 days a week, then drive here on Saturdays, stay with my sister Helen, she lived here at the time, and I would do Saturday night weather and then just drive back Sunday morning. Well, after doing that for a year and a half, 6 days a week got to be a little much, and so Roy Hardy, the news director, he said, Philip, I'll let you hire somebody for Saturdays. And so we found Carla from Newbern, and she did our weekends for a while, and so yeah, that was great. But yeah, love Jim Woods. He was such a great icon for Eastern Carolina.
How important is it to keep some of these mementos?
You know, it's great because one thing I've learned as you get older is that your memory can have little missing spots. And so when you have little keepsakes, I can look at them and like just today, breaking out the things I found, and it does refresh your memory. And you remember people more than things I've done. When I see the pictures of all these people, you know, like Roseanne Haven, Alan, you mentioned Brian, even like Claudine Chalfant and Gannon Medwick, and just so many. And like that just really refreshes my memory of just those relationships and how important those always have been. The quote-unquote fame you get from television news. Back when I started in the late 80s, from there through the 90s, I mean, we didn't have, like, the internet wasn't popular, there wasn't streaming services, you didn't even have much cable. And when I first started, there were just like 4 channels, that was it. So back then, people watched the news a lot, and I think we had like 40% of every TV turned on was watching the news. So when I would go out in the public, they would recognize me. I can remember I'd only been doing the weather for maybe 3 or 4 months, and it was a Saturday morning. It was kind of a cloudy, cool day, and I woke up from my apartment and I thought, you know, I want to go get a cheese biscuit. Well, I just threw on a sweatshirt and just ran out to get a cheese biscuit. Well, when I'm standing in line with my hair sticking every which direction, I get recognized as being the weatherman on Channel 9, and I'm like, oh my. And so I realized I had to wash my hair every day. And so that's one thing I learned that you have to do. You have to take care of things like that when you get recognized a lot. And from then on, I absolutely loved it. I love getting recognized. I know people talk about, oh, no, but no, I love it because I love Eastern Carolina. I love the people. So anyone speaks to me, I'm going to speak right back and love it. And one thing you notice is that when you would leave this area, if I didn't get recognized, I'm not trying to be conceited at all, but it's like I would notice when I'm far away from here when people didn't kind of look.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things you kind of, as you know, Ken, you're used to that as well, that you notice the times that no one notices you. And sometimes that feels really good, though.
Yeah.
You know, to have that. But yeah, it's neat. I've been recognized in like Las Vegas and Savannah and the Bahamas and all these different places. You go places and people's like, and I had one lady say, you know, I live in Durham and we can't see you there, but I have a place at Atlantic Beach. And so on Friday nights, we'd go down there and I'd see you on Friday nights doing the weather. And so little things like that, that's just fascinating to me.
The most random encounter like that I've ever had. This was probably 2 years after I left Wilmington and went to Ohio. But I'm back in Wilmington. We're down along the waterfront. There's some guided tour going on, and we're walking by, and the guy goes to the tour, and there's a local celebrity, Ken from WWAY. I was like, actually, I haven't worked there in 2 years. Mm-hmm. The part of the group that he was, you know, the tour guide for, some of them were from Ohio and recognized me from Ohio.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, all right, this is weird.
Isn't that's fascinating. That's good stuff. That's
so
good
all
stuff.
the worlds came together.
Yep.
For decades, 9 on Your Side has been there for the greatest sports moments in Eastern North Carolina. Catching the unforgettable highlights you have to see to believe.
We bring games from all across the state right to your living room because it's about more than just the scores.
Sports isn't part-time, it's full-time. It's about the excitement, the big upsets, the teamwork, and the championship.
9 on Your Side Sports.
Trust our team to be there for yours.
Is there anything we haven't touched on that you want people to know?
You know, for me, parades were always really important, and I loved going to parades. I loved going to schools. I actually remember the Falkland Parade. I was like the Grand Marshal of that one as my first one. And I know it's not a huge parade, it wasn't then, but it went from one end of the city to the other, which was about 3 or 4 blocks. But it was just awesome to me to do that. And there was a Mrs. Wooten who lived on the corner there. She always came out and waved. She was also sweet to me and would invite me in. And little things like that I love in Eastern Carolina. Going to Stokes, and they would have like a house parade. You'd go from house to house. Love that. And also, see, I grew up in North Carolina, Eastern Carolina, so for me, a meteorologist never came to my class in school. So I told myself, if I ever became a television meteorologist, if I'm ever invited to a school, I'm going. And so I've done scores of schools and really love that, because I know then you can make a connection with people, and then they can go on, and I try to encourage them to do what they want to do in life, because I wanted to be a meteorologist and I pursued it. And so whatever it is you want to be, you know, pursue it with all your heart and go for it.
WNCT-9 on your side has made it even easier for you to stay updated. Just download our mobile app and get the very latest local news, weather, and sports in the palm of your hand. You can even watch our latest broadcasts right from your phone. Customize your alerts and get notified about the things that matter to you. Get all the latest local news and updates from anywhere. Download the WNCT-9 on your side app on the App Store or on Google Play today.